7:30. Good evening.
Okay, good
Today
evening.
is Tuesday, September 10th, and it is a school committee meeting. We are taped live and streamed and re-recorded. Thank you to WMCT-TV. We do have a remote individual, school committee member, Heidi Matthews, so all our votes will be a roll call vote. Having said that, I call the meeting to order at 7:30, and if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, thank you, everyone. We will start with the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mayor Christian.
You're welcome.
To start my report, I did an update. I included an update of our current enrollment. And as of September 4th, when we were sharing the school committee packet, there were 4,773 students enrolled in the Marlborough Public Schools, with a majority of those students in the elementary schools, in grades K through 5. I also include information on elementary class size, so that we could see where we're at. I had a conversation, I expected some questions about the Kane class size, especially the difference between grades 1 and grade 3, and what was going on with that. And Ms. Pantazopoulos had shared that the spike in the grade 1 enrollment came very recently and was unexpected, and so therefore she did not make any adjustments. So yes, it is high in grade 1. Most of the schools have bubble classes of 24. It's just unusual to have that class size at first grade. Generally, students, the whole class being in a classroom at the same time is a unique situation and is usually focused on specials. And sometimes in science class, I think if they're doing that and shorter, but it is high in Kane. And with the additional, one of the recent changes we also had to do at make at Kane was we recently, about a week before school started, we had to transfer an kindergarten teacher from Jarrick School to Kane School because their kindergarten enrollment was about equal, but the difference in classroom teachers was there were what was it, 6? Yes, 6 and 4. So they're now both at 5, and they're both now under 20. Just a reminder to everyone in the public that kindergarten classrooms by law cannot average higher than 25 in a classroom. We're nowhere near that max, but it allowed us to make sure that all of our classes were in the 19 students in kindergarten range. That changed. With that change, and in addition to 2 Pathways classrooms over the last couple of years, Kane is officially out of space. So that means all of our elementary schools. We do have space for additional students to move in, but we do not have space to add any classrooms unless we talked about art or music or those types of things on a cot. But even then, that would not pick up classroom space. We know that art is in the former library area with makerspace and EL classes at Jarrick. So there is no space.
With the opening of the classroom at Jarrick, though, is there room to spread out a little from the library?
Allowed them not to have 4 EL teachers or special ed teachers, so it is full-time instructional space. It just allows them to be able to service students in a more appropriate space. There's still an EL classroom in the library.
Yeah.
On the August 27th, 2024 school committee meeting, I shared a video that introduced our district's roadmap for the 2024-2025 school year. In that video, we introduced the Marlborough Public Schools vertical alignment strategy. The Marlborough Public Schools vertical alignment strategy document clearly outlines the roles that each of us play in our plan to increase student achievement. I've attached this guiding document to my report for your review. As I mentioned the last time, I'm trying to share everything that is shared with all the educators in the district as it happens. This week, we expect all educators to receive a new lesson planning tool and a new lesson walkthrough tool that administrators will be. I will be sharing those at the next meeting for your review. Finally, I wanted to share some of the 2023 Metro West Adolescent Health Survey. This survey took place last year in the 2023-2024 school year. The 2023 Metro West Adolescent Health Survey is generally administered biannually. In 2023, 38,074 middle and high school students in 25 communities in the Metro West region participated in the survey. I have attached the 2006 to 2023 key trends and key indicators for students in Marlborough High School and Whitcomb School. This data is used in a variety of ways. For example, we will be looking at substance use indicators in our discussions with the Whitcomb School Wellness Department and the Marlborough Alliance for Prevention. In these meetings, we will identify possible resources, curriculum, and/or speakers to address increases in use. The supervisor of social emotional learning will review the mental health indicators with their department, and the supervisor of health services will review the physical activity and body weight results in department meetings. These indicators are just one data point and will always be shared with additional data. For example, the school adjustment counselors will review the Metro West Health Survey mental health indicators and the Marlborough Public Schools screening results at the same meetings. Today, I am focusing on some key findings of patterns and trends on bullying at the Whitcomb School and the Marlborough High School. For Whitcomb School, some patterns that you will notice: 33% of middle school youths have been bullied in the past 12 months, and 33% have been bullied on school property. 16% of students report bullying other students. Reports of bullying at school decreased slightly from 6th grade to 8th grade. LGBTQ+ middle school youths are more likely to be bullied at school than heterosexual youth, 52% versus 30%. Youths with learning and/or physical disabilities are also more likely to be bullied at school than youth without disabilities. 20% of middle school youth report being bullied or verbally harassed at school in the past 12 months due to their race or ethnicity, 13% due to their religion or culture, 7% due to their gender, 7% due to their sexual orientation, 7% due to a disability, and 43% due to their appearance, their height, their weight, or how they look. Among students bullied at school in the past 12 months, 43% had talked to a school adult, and 56% had talked to a parent or adult outside of school. So that also means that many of our students are not reporting incidents to anyone. Recent trends. After declining to a low of 25% in 2021, school bullying increased to 32% in 2023. Reports of school bullying victimization increased more among females than among males. And school bullying victimization has increased in the Metro West region since 2016. So it's increased across the whole region. In Marlborough High School, 23% of high school youths have been bullied in the past 12 months, and 21% have been bullied on school property. 11% of students report bullying other students. This is a decrease at the high school across the board than at Whitcomb School. Reports of bullying at high school are higher in 9th grade than in grade 10 through 12. Among students bullied at school, at the high school level, 30% talk to a school adult, and 37% talk to a parent or adult outside of school in the past 12 months, which means there's a even more significant decrease of high school students reporting it to anyone. 19% of youth were bullied verbally, harassed in the past 12 months due to their race or ethnicity, 10% due to the religion or culture, 5% due to gender, 6% due to sexual identity, 6% due to a disability, and 26% due to appearance, height, weight, and how they looked. More LGBTQ plus youth are bullied at school than heterosexual youth. Youth with learning and or physical disabilities are also more likely to be bullied at school than youth without disabilities. And trends at the high school level, school bullying victimization increased from 14% in 2021 to 21% in 2023, though remains lower than when it was first measured in 2008, which was 28%. There are recent increases in school bullying among females than males, and school bullying victimization in the Metro West region also increased from 2021 to 2023, but is still substantially lower than in 2010 when it reached its highest level. So I talked earlier about how we'll use some of the other data for the next step to address secondary bullying data, because this data does not address anything in the elementary schools. We will be comparing this data to the upcoming release of the Views of Climate and Learning, the vocal results. Those are still embargoed as of today. In FY25, advisory periods were added to secondary schedules in both the Whitcomb and the Marlborough High School. This time was added to allow for additional focus on behavior and academic expectation and a variety of social emotional lessons. Dr. Skaza has identified a new curriculum resource recognizing bullying and harassment that can be implemented during advisory and or health classes at the Whitcomb School. He will collaborate with Marlborough High School staff to identify additional high school curriculum as well. That is my report. Questions?
No questions?
Sorry, but I guess I'll just try and stay in order. Relative to the class size information.
Okay.
Especially with having that peak number in first grade. And I'm assuming, obviously, you guys are just kind of seeing this rise happening. It wasn't something we knew was going to be happening until there it was. Are you all trying to assess how to best support that classroom from a foundational standpoint, just making sure that we have enough additional hands on deck kind of thing?
Across all the elementary schools, and we didn't check the first grade at Kane today. Class size is relatively low during instructional periods because of the models that we're using. EL 1s and 2s are being serviced 2 hours outside of the classroom. Writing is being done with pull-out as well, with focused either co-teaching, so 2 teachers in the room, or small groups for the EL 1s and 2s. So the reality of much of, especially literacy instruction, we will see groups between 12 and 17. And we have not witnessed any elementary classrooms, I think. 17, I think, has been about the, and we have been in every school over the last 2 days. Monday and Tuesday has been our full school days. And so we will spend some extra time and see if there are places where potentially looking at, because of the models that we're using, if we can pull resources or support staff in one place to add it in another.
Okay. I mean, which I pretty much assume, but I'm hoping that we could be talking about this and kind of doing touch points to come back to it as you guys are learning more. I think it would be good, which I'm pretty sure you were going to, but easier to say it out loud rather than, expecting it.
It's been a number of years where Kane School has been the smallest school, and it is no longer true. Right? Yeah. So it's just unusual.
Yeah. Well, and the space is tight as well. So it just, as much as we can be doing to make sure that things are supported there. Thank you. And then I guess I would say, moving on about the Metro West Adolescent Health Survey. It's helpful to have the information. It's also, I'm going to say for me, somewhat hard to hear some of the information also, but I'm also trying to reflect upon it's not just a Marlborough thing, that this really is something that's affecting maybe our society and a kind of a greater issue that we need to get our arms around, obviously for our own community's sake. But I think it's a broader concern, at least from my perspective. In my humble opinion, it's seems like something has moved to empower people to feel like they can treat some people poorly for whatever reasoning. And so I think some of the things that have been done that you all have been doing prior to even having this information, really focusing on respectfully having good discussions, our restorative justice kind of approach that had been taking place anyway. I think it's good that had started, and I'm sure as you all continue to do more analysis, there's going to be more coming on how to handle it.
There's 2 things, too, I should mention, that Metro West Health Survey has said that they're creating a dashboard so that we will have the ability to look at our data at a deeper level. We're also, there's been some questions among ourselves, if we can compare ourselves more specifically to how we compare to other districts. One of the other things that, when you look at the data, we know that 2021 was not, it was an unusual, there was no, because of the remote or the hybrid, there were very few issues within school, right? I don't know what was happening outside of school, but it seems that with changes that were made in school last year, I don't know if those would show up in cyberbullying or where those changes are reported. And it was so early in the school year, I don't know if it really is reflected in how people trust that it is a safer environment.
Yeah.
So those are all questions that we have that we would have to look at other data to really look to see what impact changes we made.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing the information forward, and I'm sure, again, we'll probably have much more discussion around it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have a few. So I'm assuming that you're going to look deeper into that data as you just mentioned. So can you kind of give us more, maybe not at this time, but more of a scope of what this Recognizing Bullying and Harassment curriculum resource will include. I think I would hope that students of this age would know what bullying and harassment is, but I just don't know how far that reach is when it comes to the curriculum and what the consequences are for bullying and harassment, and I would hope that that would be in the curriculum as well. We can talk about bullying all we want, but if there's no enforcement or no education around the consequences behind bullying, the numbers that I see are pretty alarming, especially going through the school and understanding what bullying is. Having lived through that, I don't think that we want that in our schools, so I just want to know what the consequences are. I know that we have a policy regarding bullying, but are we actually, I know we just kind of reformatted that, but now it's a great opportunity to incorporate that into this course and actually have actual consequences for bullying. But I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, you all know this, but I think the perception of Whitcomb is it's not as safe as it can be. So if we actually share what this course is and kind of shine that light as what we're doing, I think that's critical. So we have a whole community effort and not just buzzwords or, oh, we're doing a course. But that's just my takeaway. Because seeing the numbers, it is, for me, it's very alarming, you know.
So also, a number of years ago, we started with all the staff, and we talked about microaggressions and
Sure.
how our words hurt one another, and we have a common expectation of the staff. If we hear anything,
Sure.
we stop, we interrupt, we say something, and we follow up on that.
Right.
We just introduced that to the students,
Okay.
starting, I think it was in 3rd or 4th grade last year, saying this is what the adults are going to do, like, we want everyone to feel safe, we're asking you to do that as well. So we were starting that, this is our core values, right? That everyone belongs and everyone should feel safe. The K through 5 has had an anti-bullying curriculum for a number of years. Units about that were added to the Second Step program. We really wanted the advisory time at the secondary level so that we could have time to talk to students and talk about these common expectations and to do these lessons. It's not just something that happens at K-5. It needs to be followed up so that people know those rules still apply, that
Right.
this is still our common expectation. These are our core values.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks.
I just had a thought with the number of EL students. How are we delivering this kind of curriculum? Do we have it in multiple languages?
All of our curriculum is in English for all of our courses. Students often will translate for one another. Yeah, but all of our curriculum is, yeah.
With a heavy emphasis on key vocabulary within the lesson and making sure that there's comprehension of keywords that really need to be absorbed during the instruction.
Yeah.
Right. So this data is not broken down by non-English speaking and English speaking.
No.
So at the time that these lessons are being delivered, Second Step included, are the whole class, is the whole class together, or are
Absolutely,
the
the
ones and
sense of
twos?
community. No, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
The only thing I can say in terms of comprehension for beginner students is there are a lot of visuals, there's a lot of role play within the Second Step lessons, there's a lot of practice with application. So hopefully there's some of that tangible learning through osmosis opportunity too there. It's pretty heavy with visuals and making sure that they're role playing as well.
yeah, with the littles, even the English speakers don't have that vocabulary a lot of times, right? So I would imagine that's just how they learn.
In general, too, at Whitcomb, they have multiple teachers in the room. They team up anytime. They used to have Panther periods or Royal periods. Have you had advisory yet, Atul, at the high school? Because I know they're starting more on the rules and the academic expectations, right?
We did have Panther periods for the first like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
There was the curriculum. I wasn't there for it though. I was running club fair stuff. But I know I did peep in at one point, and there were like groups of students together with the teacher in a circle, and they were discussing something. So yeah.
Yeah. So.
And also during the class meeting, you brought up a point about like expectations and punishments, and I think Mr. Bishop made it like really clear to our class what the punishment is, and he has no tolerance for any bullying or anything. So I think that came across pretty clear.
We just need consistency across the board, I think, would be the concern. So it's great that it's there, so thank you. Anything else? Seeing none? Thank you. Okay. Alrighty, moving on to Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, Ms. O'Brien.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So tonight I have 2 items to report on. The first is the Marlborough Special Education Parent Advisory Council, or CPAC, and an update also on the new Individualized Education Plan form rollout. So first, the Marlborough Special Education Parent Advisory Council elected their first full board at their June 2024 meeting, and I've included a list of the officers that are in the CPAC Leadership Council in my report. The group held their first meeting of the school year on Thursday, October 29th at the Whitcomb Commons. The organization has developed, voted, and fully accepted a new set of bylaws. They are also in the process of completing their application as a nonprofit, articles of incorporation, and just received their employee ID number from the IRS. Members have been busy planning their first event, which will be a pumpkin festival to be held on Saturday, October 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. at Kane Elementary School. They're in the process of finalizing parent workshops that include the basic rights, which the date is to be determined, a workshop on the new IEP, or Individual Education Plan, in October, and a 504 plan workshop that would be in November. They're also working on identifying some other topics for workshops in the spring. They're in the beginning stages of establishing parent support groups that will be communicated out to families when details are finalized. The district greatly appreciates the time and effort that these individuals have committed to reestablishing this valuable parent group. As you can see, they've been extremely busy and have achieved a great deal in such a short amount of time already. Secondly, we have a new individualized education plan form that the state has adopted, and districts are required to roll out for this school year. So the Marlborough Special Education Department has completed a transition to full implementation of the new DESE Special Education IEP form. We began that transition this past March in preparation for the required use of the form at the start of the 24-25 school year. Many other districts have struggled with implementing the new form, and DESE has pushed out the mandated use date to the end of November. The new form offers greater opportunity for students and parent voice and is much more student-focused. The rollover in Aspen, our student information system, has been seamless thanks to a great deal of support by Michael Lessert and Rob Eve. There's still a bit of a learning curve for teachers as they're used to looking in one place on the document to find information, and now they may need to look in multiple sections. Parents and guardians have stated that they feel that they have more voice in the process, and that since the form is new to both staff and families, staff are taking more time to explain things, which the parents appreciate. The drawback on the new form is that the document itself is much longer, and there's some redundancy in the information within the document. We're hopeful that over time, the Department of Education will be able to provide guidance on streamlining some of the information to make the document more user-friendly.
Thank you. Ms. Hennessy.
Thank you. Could I request that we actually get a copy of like the sample IEPs? I'd love to see even the older version and the newer version, so that we can make sure that we're educated ourselves on all of those different layers. I think it just would be really helpful.
Sure, I absolutely can. I know we had reported on this when Mr. Fletcher had come in. I thought we had given a sample, but if not, I will make sure that we get that out to you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That'd be helpful. Thanks.
I moderated a session at our MASC conference on this form. So they went through the whole form, so I have copies of it also. But you probably have it electronically, it would be easier.
Yeah, they have, there's some sample ones from the Department of Education on their website that, have, fake student names and stuff, so we can, those be good ones to send out. Thanks.
Anything else? Nope. Seeing none, we'll move on. All right, well, there's no minutes in this packet, so moving on to public comment. Public comment. Are there any public comment? Going once. Public comment. Any public comment going twice? And public comment third time. Seeing none. Moving on. Close public comment. So action items and reports. So we have acceptance of donations and gifts. So I'm going to read them all, and then if we can have a motion to accept all of them, so we can do one roll call to make things streamlined a little bit easier. Yes? Okay, here we go. First Congregational Church for the MPS. So there was 78 backpacks and school supplies with a total value of $5,400. Henry Schein Inc. So there was 50 backpacks and school supplies that were donated for the monetary value of $2,500. West Stat for Kane School was $300. So that was actually a check. Special Olympics of Massachusetts for the Whitcomb School, there was a check for $500. And lastly, David DePaula was a former student and raised money to purchase 300 backpacks and school supplies for a total of $8,000. So thank you for everyone in the community for all the backpacks and the donations this time around. I'll gladly welcome a motion to accept.
Motion to accept all of these great donations.
Thank you very much. There's a motion on the table and seconded. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the donations? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote, starting with Ms. Matthews.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Gray.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
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 Yes. And Mr. Caruso.
Alone end of the table? Yes.
Yes. And already the motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for that. Reports of oh, I think I just went through puberty. My voice just cracked. Reports of school committee subcommittees. Any reports? No policy, no nothing. Wow. All righty. Let's move along. Members forum.
Ms. Matthews and I have reviewed the warrant, and it has been signed.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Anything else from members forum? Any announcements? Seeing none?
Sorry. I was just going to actually say a thank you to the administration and a lot of the staff at JARC for helping on the implementation of the kind of like new drop-off policy, if you will, at JARC. It really has taken everyone really working together, which also extends to the community. Thank you to the community for understanding the need to kind of change the drop-off and for understanding about parking their cars and safely walking their children across to the elementary school. And I would also say, I'm quite appreciative of the open discussion with the Traffic Commission, DPW, working with Chief Giorgi and Chief Breen on just trying to make sure that we're doing the best that we can on safety for our children and staff. But thank you to them all.
Thank you. Anything, Atul? Good? Okay. We good?
Move to adjourn.
There it is. Alrighty. Motion to adjourn is on the table and seconded. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, roll call vote. We'll start over on this side with Mr. Caruso.
Yes.
Yes.
My voice just changed.
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Matthews? Yes. Alrighty. We adjourn at 8:04. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.